The story of Jackie Robinson breaking the color barrier in Major League Baseball in 1947 has become an important piece of sports history, well known by many people who even don't know anything else about baseball. It's become an important chapter in the story of America. However, it may surprise you to know that in that same year, the very first non-white player began his professional basketball career as well. His name was Wat Misaka. Wat Misaka was born in 1923 in Ogden, Utah, and was a second-generation Japanese American. He grew up at a time and in a place where there was a virtual apartheid against Japanese Americans, according to the University of Utah. His family would not be served if they went to local restaurants. Due to being Japanese, he was unable to participate in extracurricular activities. In response, the Japanese American community created their own sports leagues for their children, and he led them to a state title in 1940 and a regional title in 1941. After he graduated from high school, at a time when many Japanese Americans were being forced into internment camps, Misaka was able to attend Weber Junior College, where he led his team to 2 junior college basketball championships. And while the streets of Ogden and other Utah towns were filled with propaganda posters portraying Japanese soldiers in the ugliest of ways, and while Japanese cemeteries were being vandalized, and while songs were being sung urging vigilante revenge on Japanese people, Misaka transferred to the University of Utah, immediately helping his team to carve out an 18-3 record and an NCAA tournament championship in 1944 with a 42-40 overtime win against Dartmouth. After his junior year in college, Misaka was then drafted into the US military, tasked with using his Japanese language skills to help the military intelligence. He quickly rose to the rank of staff sergeant, and then America dropped 2 atomic bombs on Japan. Misaka was tasked to go to Japan and survey the results of the blast in Hiroshima Prefecture, his ancestral home where he would have lived had his family not immigrated to America. He even knew the address where he would have lived and where his uncle now resided. His uncle's home had been spared from the blast, protected by the hill just next to it. "I was a man without a country," Misaka remembered of his time in Japan as a member of the US military. "To the Japanese, I was an invader. Americans didn't trust me because I was Japanese." After 2 years in the military, Misaka returned to the University of Utah to finish his last year. When he tried out for the basketball team this time around, he was relegated to the end of the bench. However, on a game early in the season, due to a flu bug keeping out several players, Misaka showed that he had to play more minutes, and so his coaches reluctantly made him a starter. Road games were particularly tough. Vitriol and venom directed at Misaka spewed from out the mouths of the opposing team's fans. Their hate for Japanese people was thick, and their experience with the war was in their immediate memory. Despite the challenges, Misaka and the Utah Utes made their way to the 1947 National Invitation Tournament championship game. Utah faced Kentucky in this game, and Misaka was tasked with guarding who most considered to be the best and the fastest college player in the whole country, Ralph Beard. Beard would go on to be drafted in the NBA, where he averaged 16 points per game during his 2 seasons with Indianapolis, even making the All-Star team his second year, before getting suspended permanently after he was discovered to have fixed games for gambling profits during his college years. But that's an entirely different story. In this championship game, it was expected that Beard would be the star, leading Kentucky to a national championship victory. Misaka had a different idea. Misaka put his full attention on stopping Beard, and at every turn, Misaka stopped Beard. Beard finished the game extremely angry and extremely ineffective, with only 1 single point. Misaka had led his team to a 46-40 national championship victory. In the summer of 1947, at the same time as Jackie Robinson was breaking the color barrier in baseball, Misaka was drafted by the New York Knicks in the 61st overall pick, breaking professional basketball's color barrier 2 years prior to the first time an African American would take the court in an NBA game, when Earl Lloyd did so in 1950. During the first 3 games of the season, the 5'7" point guard out of Ogden, Utah, played well off the bench for the Knicks. However, after just 3 games, Misaka was called into the Knicks front office and was informed that he was being cut from the team. No explanations were given as to why, and Misaka's NBA career was over. Just like that. Nobody else re-signed him. Shortly thereafter, the Harlem Globetrotters approached him with a contract, but he declined, deciding instead to return to the University of Utah to get his master's degree in engineering. He then went on to have a successful career as an electrical engineer in Salt Lake City, Utah. Misaka died at the age of 95 in 2019, leaving behind a legacy that should not be overlooked. Now, I know this is a sports card channel, and I haven't mentioned one thing card related here, but he has no officially licensed card, so there's that, and I still wanted to tell his story here. It is possible to find his autograph out there in the wild, not commonly, but it is here and there there have been some people that have made custom cards of his, including one on the Wax Museum podcast's Instagram page, where he designed one inspired by the 1948 Bowman set, which I think looks cool. I've really never thought about the possibility of actually purchasing a custom-made card, but I could see a reality where I would buy one of Wat Misaka someday, just because he doesn't have any real cards, and I think his story is fascinating and is a story that people should know about. Very important for the history of basketball, the history of sports, really. It's quite an important story. But for now, that's the end of this video. Check you later. Peace.